welcome to another Watch With Us. Watch with Ray and Ween.
Woo!
What? Today we're here to talk about a third episode of The Last of Us. It's titled Long, Long Gone, I believe it's what it's.
Long
A long time. Long time.
Song by Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm pulling up my IMDb, so okay, so that way I have that along with, my notes, because it's been a couple days since I've seen this. So,
I just watched it again.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Refresher.
IMDb won't because it's my work computer, so it will. Did you guys hear that? Probably not.
Yes.
Oh, not the typing. No, another video came on in my ear, and okay. All right. All I just heard was this YouTuber going, "Guys, I'm pissed," and I was like, "Yeah,
me too."
Yeah. I am. Yeah, I'm not pissed though. I was super sad at this fucking episode. All right. Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this one was written by Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, and was directed by Peter Hoare.
1 hour, 16 minutes running time.
Mm-hmm.
On IMDb has an 8.0 rating.
Oh, we'll get to that. We will get to that at the end. Yep.
Oh,
yeah, we will talk about that. So okay. We'll talk. So Neil Druckmann is pretty much the front runner for this show, and I believe the games too. I think he directed the games.
He did.
Yeah. He's actually he has the best in the behind the scenes of this episode. He has the most beautiful quote that I wrote down because I loved it. And he says, with each episode, there's a sort of reflection of where love can take you. And this was the pure, innocent version. And I'm like, yep. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, this is like love there's literally, there's about, I want to say 20 minutes. Like that 16 minutes is Joel and Ellie, and the rest of it is Bill and Frank.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Not gonna promise that I might not. I might cry by the end of this. So I'm just letting you know. I did laugh at like the first part is we are in the present, and it says 10 miles west of Boston. I'm like, no, bro, that is fucking Washington State. If I'd ever see, that is like nowhere close to Boston. Yeah. Nowhere.
I think they did a lot of filming in Canada.
Oh, it's super cheap to do there. So yeah, most places do. They do there or Georgia is another one, because you could film with Canada, like especially Vancouver, you could film all year.
Right.
And same with Georgia, you can usually film all year until it gets super hot. I love the first I think this is like you start to see the thawing between the two of them in this part, because she says to him, she's like fucking done with his like
bullshit.
That and the silent but the silent treatment he's giving her, or like the hostility, the silent hostility. I mean, you can see when somebody doesn't is pissed off at you. Yeah. And she says, "Don't blame me for something that isn't my fault."
Yeah. Go girl.
I didn't bite Tess. I'm sorry that I am immune to the virus and she wasn't. Sorry. Yeah, but we also learn in this one how long Tess and Joel were together.
Yeah.
It was good 10 years at least.
About, yeah.
Yeah. And we also, so they're on their way to, and you jump in, don't let me steamroll you. They jump in, so they're going over to Bill and Frank's, because that was one of the last thing Tess told Joel is get her to Frank and Bill's. And on the way, they're stopping at this like store for gear because they're kind of like running out of supplies. They're like on their last bit of food.
And there's a place along the way that he stashed some shit. He's like, I know it's here somewhere. I just gotta find it.
Yeah, it's a bolt hole that they've kind of like he's stashed some guns and because he like at this point he's out of ammo, so he's like he's just gonna get rid of the gun because he's like it's just a hindrance at this point. So Ellie's like, you know, investigating. Of course, he tells her to stay outside, and she comes in because she's a fucking teenager and not listening. No, and she also wants a gun really bad. She really wants a fucking gun.
Every time she brings it up, every time she's attempting to bring it up, he's like, nope.
Yeah, he just looks at her like, nope.
He just cuts her off and is like, no.
Which I'm kind of like, guy, you gotta let her have a gun. I mean, you gotta let her have some sort of protection.
Right.
Because even as he said in the last episode, you know, so you can't die from them biting you, but they could still tear you apart.
Yeah, they can still rip you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know.
Well, she does she crawls down in the cellar. I'm like, girl, you have more fucking.
Why no?
No, I'm like, what? But she does find a box of tampons, which I was like, all right, girl, I see you.
Oh yeah, she was like, score.
Yes, those are things that you don't even think about. Like, oh my god, like, because I mean, they probably don't toilet paper. So, like, what is she like? How? I can't even imagine. Well, could you just imagine how bad everyone smells at this point?
Everyone.
There's no running water.
Along this show, every time there's an opportunity for them to shower, they're in there for everyone. Because you don't know the next shower you're gonna have. Yeah,
I mean, you see in this episode, you see, well, you don't see, but you see one shower, and it is like an extraordinary long time in the shower, just because, they're like, oh my god, it's best things in sex, and. So Ellie's down in this cellar and she's exploring. And doesn't she come across an infected person?
Of course she does, but she's got her trusty handy dandy knife.
Right. And she does exactly what I wanted to fucking do all along. I want somebody to do something with one of those heads. I want to see explode, or I want to see it ooze or something. Yeah. And what it does is not ooze.
No.
It looks like it's got stuffing because it's all the mold coming out. Yeah. It's gross, but it's cool shit.
Cool. Yeah.
It's like, it's so different than what you would imagine, like, to be inside of that. Like, you would imagine, because it's a human, that it'd be bloody pus or something like that. That's almost fibrous material. It looks like stuffing that's coming out.
Oh, yeah. It looks like that, that's like when you go in an attic, an old attic, that yellow stuff that kind of grows.
Oh, insulation, yeah.
It's insulation, yeah. It's nasty.
Yeah, it is. But I was like, I still till like by the end of this fucking series, I need to see one of those heads explode. I need to see it just pop, like, and pieces of mushroom go everywhere. That's what I need. I need to see
fungi explosion.
Yep, fungi explosion. Yep. So let's see. They come across. Oh god, this part. So they leave and they come. They come across a downed plane, and you don't think about it until this point. Is no one has literally flown.
Yeah, and this generation of children does not know what airplanes are like. And she was like, did you ever go up in one? And he's like, yeah, a couple times. And he's like, it's not, all that stuff.
Yeah, she's super excited.
Dude, you got to go in the sky.
Yeah.
Like, I would never know that.
Think about that. Like, because I'm always fascinated by, between, like, because I'm a history nerd, between the Civil War and World War II, we have less than 100 years. And think about all the things that we had in the time. Think how quickly we had not only like cars and locomotive. We had trains during the Civil War, but still fucking planes and automobiles and we had electricity, but like widespread electricity, telephones. I mean. And to think that within 23 years, flying is gone.
Yeah.
Aviation is gone. Television is gone.
There's a part in, spoiler, sort of, in The Last of Us Part 2, because I just finished the 15-hour gameplay. There's a flashback where Joel surprises Ellie on her birthday and finds a natural history and science museum.
Oh,
that's old and broken down, takes you to it, because the idea of going to space fascinates Ellie, because again, she will never know what that's like, or having that, so she wants to know everything there is about it. And it's just a cool moment where he takes her there, and they find like this little space capsule that's in the museum, and they go inside it. It's such a sweet moment.
Oh, I love it.
But like, and he finds this tape. He found a tape that he said it was really hard to find this because she's got a Walkman. That's all the technology she's got.
Yeah.
But he found a cassette tape of the launch of Apollo 13, I think, or Apollo 11.
Yeah.
And she's listening to it just entranced, and like it's such a cool moment.
Well, think about it though. Like, it doesn't surprise me that she has a Walkman, because what does it work on? Batteries.
Yeah.
There's no electricity. So right, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Although like they will blow fucking like teenagers' minds who are watching this though. They're not going to know what a fucking Walkman is.
Yeah.
I mean so they come across the down plane, and then they get to first he tells her how it all started.
Yeah, because she doesn't know.
No, and
I thought you went to school, and she's like, Fedra didn't teach Fedra school. They didn't teach this shit. How they fucked up.
Right. Well, and they also they are also taught that it was a monkey that bit someone. So very similar to COVID, like how COVID came to be, which I do believe it was somebody eating a fucking bat, but that's okay. I mean, like, it's something weird. And they said the cordyceps mutated and got into the food supply, like sugar or flour. And there were certain brands of food that were sold everywhere. Huh?
And he specifically says pancake mix.
Well, right. He says bread, cereal, pancake mix. He goes,
call back to episode 1 when
they make pancakes.
She was going to make pancakes, but they didn't have time.
That's right. And luckily they didn't, because they said everyone ate enough that they got sick. Yeah. And it started on a Friday, and by Monday everything was gone.
Yeah.
Which is
days. That's wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you see how quickly it happens. Well, also, do you remember in episode 1, what are the neighbors? Adlers maybe? Whatever their names are. What are they making? They're making cookies with flour.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably something like, Pillsbury, which is sold worldwide.
Right.
Produced and sold worldwide. So, then we get to...
They see a part on the side of the road, and he's like, no, we're going to take the woods. Let's go this way. And she's like, why? What is there possibly for me to see that's so bad? And he's like, I don't want, we shouldn't go this way. And she's like, whatever. And she walks away anyway.
Right.
And she sees this open ditch area that's scorched earth, basically. And it's just completely scorched. And there's a bunch of skeletons and like clothing and things people probably would have traveled with. And they're particularly, we zoom in on the skeleton of what we assume to be a mother and a smaller skeleton next to her of like a swaddled cloth. And then
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just then we cut to years and years ago, that same cloth and the swaddled cloth, it is a mother and her baby.
Right. So this whole thing very much reminiscent of like Auschwitz or your concentration camps where they're just throwing it's a mass grave, but it's an uncovered mass grave, which they did towards the at the last days of concentration camps. They were just killing and throwing in ditches. Or think of like what's his name, Slobodan Milosevic with the ethnic cleansing, same sort of thing. You get they're just killing, and you find out the same thing is these people were fucking healthy. They were healthy people. They just didn't have space at the QZs for these people.
Yeah. And they, because she was questioning, like, why are they here? And what, were they sick? And he's like, probably not. And that once the QZs filled up and they had too many people, and she's like, why didn't they just leave them be? And he goes, you can't get infected if you're dead.
And honestly, part of me is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, because is it humane? Because if it's spreading that fast, I don't know. I mean, is it humane? How do you want this person to die? Do you want him to die slowly and for over 20 years and become a mushroom person? But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think it's a morally...
When you get it from a global strategic standpoint, it's, it makes sense. But when you look at it with as individual people, Americans that didn't have a choice in it.
Right. It's morally gray. It's definitely morally gray.
Yeah, more on the darker side of gray.
It's more on the darker side, definitely. I mean, because you're also then just giving up the chance of any hope or faith and any of that. And part of it is also it's just a very corrupt fucking government. We find out. I mean, it is a very corrupt government. Yeah. Shocker. But yes, now we are going back 23 years.
Back in time.
Yeah, we're getting the Wayback Machine. Woo! Diddly-doo. My note what about this was, God, do we need a flashback of this? Oh, yep. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yep. Oh, yeah. In fact, it's the whole rest of the episode. So buckle up, guys.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes, we're 23 years in the past. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a countdown, like a move to present time throughout this episode. So
yeah. So we're back in 2003, and we see the mother and her baby in that same cloth, getting loaded
rainbows on it. Yeah.
Getting loaded onto trucks to head to a QZ.
I mean, this was seriously and I'm not equating it's concentration camps and like taking people. That was like that's something completely different as to this situation. But that is immediately what I thought is that they're loading people up, all sending them off to camps.
It's just a little droplet, though, of similarity. Just a little drop.
Yeah. So like, that's why I said there's like it's a completely fucking different situation, but but when they're loading those people up, I was like, oh God, I just started getting like, sick to my stomach.
Yeah, because you knew what happened to them.
There were so many kids on that fucking back of that thing too. I was like, oh, and so this is like Mrs. Massachusetts. Well, this is like a little farther west. Yeah, it's a little farther because they have to walk a good
exactly where, but it's a good 20 miles or more.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then we cut to the same image of someone watching what's going on outside via security camera. And we just see a silhouette of someone watching in the basement. Enter Nick fucking Offerman.
You forget you forget that he is so attractive, and then you see those baby blues, and you're like, oh, yep. And he's got that big old beard.
Yeah.
Like long, like almost like a bowl, not a bowl cut, like a bob. He's got a bob. And he is, yeah, he's a full out like survivalist, which to his, you know, to his credit, because that's how he survives.
Right.
Right.
He's in the basement watching everything unfurl, and he hears walking around upstairs. Oh. That was fun.
I wonder if the storm is going.
Trippy. He's walking around upstairs. He hears people walking around in his house upstairs. It's completely empty, and he's just waiting. And they fucking leave eventually, and he watches the trucks as they leave. And I screenshot this quote because it's so fucking great. As they're driving away, he goes, "Not today, you new world order jackboot fucks."
Yep. I mean, he's got like a don't try me flag. He has another one, a join or die flag, and I was like, wow, someone is yeah. Well, at one point would have been Tea Party, definitely Tea Party person, but yeah, now QAnon, yeah, serious tinfoils, yep.
Like, haha, you know. He's relishing it all.
And he just like walks on like it is like he's ready for this fucking day, because then he goes and he gets when everyone's left, he gets his boat and he hooks it onto his trailer.
Yeah, and makes it act like a trailer because he goes around town getting what he needs. He gets a bunch of
he breaks into Home Depot. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, immediately what I would fucking do, because I got questions and they got answers. Plus, they've also got big buckets that people can poop in. So there you go.
Exactly. He's getting everything he needs. He knows exactly what, and not to be. I mean, he's getting all the essentials, right?
Right.
He's getting his generator going. He's getting gasoline. He's got, rope and preparing getting tripwires and shit like that. And
he home loans this shit real hard.
Lest we forget the essentials, Cayman Island wines, Cayman Vineyard wines.
Yup.
Mm-hmm. For you.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's all set. Like he lives like this for 4 years, I believe.
Yes.
So yeah, but he home alones this fucking shit like nobody's business. His whole like yard is booby trapped. Yeah. He's got like giant fencing up. Yeah,
it's a sweet shot where he's sitting down to dinner and he has one of the security camera alarms goes off and he picks it up, and one of the infected are starting to walk, and he's like, "Come on, keep coming," and the infected hits a tripwire and gets shot in the head, and he's like, "It never gets home."
As he's eating like rabbit and drinking his wine, he's just living it up. So then we have then enter by way of falling in a trap.
Yeah.
Frank.
Murray Bartlett.
Oh.
Another hot Aussie.
Holy shyster. He is gorgeous in all of his forms. Because like, have you seen one of the pictures of him young? The one that's his hair's longer?
No.
But yeah, to me he looks like a little bit like Ted McGinty and Treat Williams a little bit, but like if they had a baby, but better looking and probably have a better attitude. I love this exchange because he's like, this isn't an Arby's. It's not a free lunch. It's not an Arby's. He's like, Arby's didn't have a free lunch. It was a restaurant. It was a restaurant. Which I was like, listen, you're using restaurant. Let's just tone on the R word on that one.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. I mean, it's probably the better of the fast food chains, like of the quality of the food, but still, let's
Sure. Yeah.
So he kind of like
Frank is caught in one of Bill's traps, and he lets Frank up, but has a gun pointed at him the entire time.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Boston, where are you trying to go? Boston is that way. Go on, get out of here." And Frank's like, "Dude, I haven't eaten in a couple days. I'm starving."
Like close to starving at this point. Like because he said he started out with 10 and it's just him. in his party.
It's like,
Yeah.
look, but Bill's like putting his foot down, like, no, I don't want you going telling everybody that, there's a safe haven here, and everybody's like, I'm not a very good liar. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah. Right. And he does, like, he convinces him, he talks him into giving him a dinner, giving him food. And when he's in the house, he's like, you can take a shower. And as soon as Bill takes those clothes into Frank,
yeah,
I knew immediately. I was like, oh, they're gonna fuck. Oh, they're gonna fuck. And then
Frank is in the. It's so cute. He brings clothes up to Frank, and Frank is in the shower, and he lets Frank know that he's got some clean clothes for him, and he goes, "I'll be right out." Well, actually, can I have 5 more minutes? This is amazing.
Yeah. Because also, along with like all of the traps and shit outside, like he has set up this giant generator.
Massive, yeah.
And it's just run. I mean, we find at the end it's been running for 2 months with no one, at least 2 months, I think, with no one attending to it. So, or actually, it's undefined amount of time. I mean, there's by the end. And so they have what looks to be a very delicious meal.
An amazing dinner, and he's got, and Frank serves him, busts out the wine bottle, and pours like you would at a restaurant. Like,
yes, he's like, he smells it, which I was sitting here like
Frank's face when he brings up the meal.
Are you fucking kidding me? Face, yeah, exactly. Yeah, which at the same time, like we all know, he would never have been able to even eat anything. Like he would have been able to eat very little. He would have been very sick.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately going back to the concentration camp analogy, is a lot of times when the people got out of it, they were not given a ton of food in the relief camps because they couldn't handle it. Their stomachs could not handle it because they had been starving for so long. And so, and he even says, I can eat more, but I'm going to stop, because he probably knows he's going to have diarrhea if he doesn't.
I want to.
But I will not be able to handle it.
He gives Bill this look after he pours the wine, and he's like, the look on his face is pure joy and also shock. That he's like, you're a man who knows to pair rabbit with a bouquet.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Right? Who are you? It should be the number one. Who the fuck? What is happening? Yeah.
And then Bill says, I know I don't seem like the type that would know. And Frank goes, no, you do.
Yeah.
Just, it's like that's when Frank starts to be really intrigued by him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. The chemistry.
They have dynamic chemistry. It really, and then we get, because they're done with their meal, and he's like, well, I guess I better go. But I've got to see that. I have been sitting here staring at this the whole day. And so he goes up to the piano, which is totally in tune, which I was like, what is happening? So he's
a musician. He probably knows how to tune it.
This bitch also knows how to fuck. Of course he does. Of fucking course he does.
Look all the tools he's got and shit.
Yeah.
Proposals. He fucking knows his shit.
Yeah.
And so, like, I love this moment because Frank is booking it for the piano, and Bill's like, oh, no. And
well, I think part of it, I think, is like he doesn't want him to touch the piano. He just does. He wants him out of the house because he doesn't know how.
Yeah. There were a couple Nick Offerman moments, or like Ron Swanson moments, I have to admit, at least in my head, especially at this part when Frank's like starting to make his way to the piano, and he's like, how old is this piano? Do you know how much this is worth? And it feels like currently nothing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. To the apocalypse, nothing. Right? Like nothing. I have a question for you. Do you think, because it seemed to me that Bill lived there with his mom?
Yes.
So, do you think that this is, and I'm just gonna guess that like he might be bisexual, maybe. Bill, because at one point he says, have you done this before? He's like, it's been a while. with a woman.
He's only done it once with a woman.
Yeah. So
no, I don't think he's bisexual. I think he was probably curious or probably questioning himself at that point in his life, and is anyway, but we'll get to that. So Frank breaks out this music book, and he's like, "Oh, this is you," and it's Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah, which I was like, "Oh, okay."
Love it. And he starts to play Long, Long Time, but it's like too fast. And Bill's like, "Nope, no, you're not doing it." And Frank's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the best player or singer in the world." And Bill's like, "No, it's just not that song." And so Bill sits down. Frank invites Bill to sit down. He plays it so tenderly and so forlornly. He sings it. And it was so raw. And Frank asks him, "So who's the girl?"
Yep.
"Who's the girl you're singing about?" And Bill says, "There is no girl." And Frank says,
"I know." Yep.
"I know." Oh, I love that. It was so good.
And kiss.
Oh. And then after the kiss.
Oh, what does he say?
Then Frank is the boss.
Yes. What does he say?
I want you to go up and take a shower.
He says, "Go take a shower, because we gonna fuck tonight." Right. Yeah, because we gonna fuck tonight. Yep. He used to say the last part. That was what I was saying, because we gonna fuck. Yeah, so they fuck. Which is a very, I'm sure the homophobes were upset about this scene, which to me, I was like,
whatever.
This was a beautiful, sweet scene that I did not, I would tell my mom to watch this episode and feel I would not, because we always say, would this embarrass our moms on my other podcast? This would not embarrass my mother.
No, it was such a romance. It was so sweet. And
yeah.
Before, and that's when, Frank is like, "Have you done this before?" And Bill's like, "With a woman, but no."
Right.
And he said, "I don't want you to think I'm a whore, so I'm going to stay a couple days, if that's okay." I don't want you to think that I just screw guys for a free lunch.
Yeah.
Oh,
he stays for more than a couple days. Yeah. Yeah.
Then we get to 3 years later.
Yeah. They're in a relationship at this point, and they are just adorable together. Adorable. In fact, this is the point where, so actually, they meet up with Tess and Joel around this point too.
Just before, or just after this. So there's a scene where it's like smash cut. Next scene, Frank is running out of the house going, "Fuck you," and they're fighting. They are fighting, and there's this awesome moment where Frank is like, "The world isn't just full of or he accuses Bill of being like a 9/11 conspiracy theorist and and whatever, and and the world isn't full of the government isn't full of Nazis, and it was something like that, not like what you think. And Bill's like, "It is." Not now, before.
Yeah. So they're obviously, but then we also see. We have seen some of the deterioration of the houses around this, because he is fenced in pretty much like a little town.
Yeah.
And this is where Frank's like, "We're gonna clean up. I have to do something. So I'm gonna clean up the boutique," I think he said, and there's something else that he was gonna clean up. He's like, "I want to handle, quote unquote, running the store," or something along those lines. So we see bits and pieces of them really kind of cleaning up the town a little bit and keeping
what's there.
Right. And it's very important that we see that, because towards the end we'll see how it has deteriorated.
Yeah.
But there's fresh flowers out in front of different places, and then they start talking about how and then Frank says that he talked to somebody on the radio.
Oh, and Bill goes, "You what?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we cut to dinner with Joel and Tess.
Yeah, it is the craziest. Like, they're sitting outside as if it were just like a regular dinner, like a dinner together with friends sitting on the back porch. Oh, and I.
Like
Yeah.
you know,
Joel's super uncomfortable, and and Bill's super uncomfortable, but the other two are like, la, 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 la.
yeah. Frank and Tess are like, dude, like hanging out, like, yes, let's do this, let's treat this, honey, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Just not like that, not like so kiki, but the big
yeah,
bonding. And Bill and Joel are sitting opposite each other and just clearly, and Joel and Tess, for her credit, both are like, Bill, I get it. Because Bill's got his gun on the table.
yeah, yeah,
Pointing at Joel, but it's on the table.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they're both like, I get it. But this
yeah,
is really nice, but I get it.
yeah, yeah. And we have this beautiful moment where they're all like they have become friends, and it's like somebody you can now trust in this wasteland of garbage that they live in.
It's as much as they do have in that town, they don't have everything.
Right.
They're probably medical supplies that they might.
Oh, they have nothing. I have a feeling that whatever they can get in town, in Boston proper, they have to barter for or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So Frank and Tess go inside and go kiki and hang out. Which leaves Bill and Joel at the table, and they talk exactly like they understand each other because they are each other.
Yeah.
And there's a point where Joel starts talking, and it's like, you're gonna need, you're gonna want some different wiring for the fences. That's not gonna.
Oh yeah. He's like, when the Raiders come. Yeah.
Get that gun out of my face.
Yeah. Well, he also says yeah, and he also says like, you're gonna want it like when the Raiders come, not if, when the Raiders come. Yeah, and they do.
Fedra's not gonna find you out here. You've got yourself pretty well blocked off. You've got defenses against infected, any infected that straggle along, but you got to watch out for Raiders because they're gonna come and they're gonna want to take this.
Yeah, and so and literally next scene, Raiders. And not of the last arc.
It's raining.
Yeah, and it's like there's just fire going on all over the place because what's happening is some of the traps shoot fire at whoever's there. So there's like, huh? Right? It wakes Frank up because he can hear like shots going off and screaming and the firing going on outside. So he gets up and there's Bill just literally just fighting. And you also can see they have aged them, so you can start to see that they are aging quite a bit. Yeah. And so you see Bill not being able to possibly defend as well as he could have in the past. So it is starting to catch up with him. And he actually ends up getting shot. Frank brings him back in the house and stitches him up, and he starts even giving him like last rites, sort of like Bill starts giving him like the last orders, like call Joel, give him this, da 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 da. Yeah. So he's like, you're not gonna fucking die. Just calm down.
I love that moment too, though, because as Bill is saying, I have a list. Call Joel, he'll take care of you. And meanwhile, Frank is tending to his wound and is like, keep talking to me. Tell me about this list. What's going on? And he's in a moment of like, there's some couples and some people like, you have a good partner when one can be the other, like in a trauma situation where one can be calm when the other freaks out. And this is what like
they complement each other.
Moment. Yeah. Where Frank is very calm and just tending to his wound. It's like, you're going to be okay. Just hang on to this. And then Bill goes into shock and passes out.
Yep.
And we think maybe Bill is dead. But then we get another scene.
Yeah, because then it goes 10 years in the future again.
10 years later.
10 years later, and it's not Bill who's now. It's Frank. We've learned that has had a stroke because his one side of his body is paralyzed. Yeah, his one side of his head. He can't really reach.
I wasn't sure exactly what.
They don't say exactly what it is, but I'm assuming because at some point he can't walk. So because he can't.
I assumed it was MS or something like that, or either way, probably a stroke more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could have been, but that's what I assumed because the way he was holding his hand, but it could be MS too. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know, but they also don't say what it is.
Right.
We just know that he cannot take care of himself. No, at this point, we just know he cannot take care of himself at this point, and he's kind of like uh, in a wheelchair, like he's kind of stuck in a wheelchair now at this point.
Yeah.
And again, they look a lot older because they're 10 years older.
Probably in their 60s.
Yeah, and we catch up with them literally on
deep breaths now, deep breaths.
On Frank's last day, and Frank has decided this is his last day.
He's not only decided that it's his last day, but he's decided how the day is going to be.
Oh, yes, let me read that to you.
Yes.
He says, well, I'm not going to give you every day was a wonderful gift from God speech. I've had a lot of bad days. I had bad days with you, but I had more good days with you than anyone else. Just one more good day, starting now. Make me some toast. And then he says, then take me to the boutique where I will pick out outfits for us. You will wear what I ask, and we'll get married. And you'll cook us a delicious dinner. Then you will crush up all of these and put them in my wine. I will drink it. Then you will take me by my hand, bring me to our bed, and I will fall asleep in your arms. And he says, do you love me? And Bill says, yes. He says, then love me the way I want you to.
It was, how many people wish for that?
They could go out that way.
They could go out that way.
Yep.
That are terminal, that are, God knows what is going on with them.
Right.
And because we're in a post-apocalyptic world, it's a little less taboo.
Yeah.
Of a subject and the way they handled it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so Bill is beside himself crying. He has to have his moment. But then he gives in and says, okay. And they go down to the boutique and they get married.
They get married. And then he makes him the first meal they had together for their last meal together. And as he crushes up, he has the crushed up pills and he puts it in the wine and he gives, because they have wine with dinner that's separate. And then he
brings out another bottle.
Right. And so he puts the pills in the wine. And I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing at how uncomfortable I'm feeling right now. Is that he gives it to Frank and Frank drinks it and he goes, do you think it's going to be enough? He's like, oh yeah. And he drinks his.
I think.
Yeah, he drinks his and he goes, the wine was already, or the drugs were already in the wine, weren't they? There was already drugs in the wine. He goes, enough to kill a horse. And he says, I'm old. This is Bill. I'm old. I'm satisfied. And you are my purpose. And they go, he takes him by the hand and and that's the last we see. We don't see them at all after this. We don't even see them. Yeah, we don't see them even going into the room. They leave this scene and that's it. And I think that's the best way they could have done that. Like, I didn't need to see them like dying. I didn't need to see any of that. Like, I think leaving them in this with this last declaration is the best decision. Such a good choice.
In peace.
Yes.
In peace with each other.
So then we now are, I don't know, it doesn't tell us how much time has passed until this next part, or how much time elapsed.
I think it was a month or two.
Yeah, it's not super long because there is still they go past a like a plant that looks like it's still alive. It just looks like it hasn't been tended for a couple months. So,
Yeah.
but you can start to see that like things haven't been like, because I'm pretty sure there was a shot of him mowing grass at one point too, wasn't he? Or was I imagining that?
I don't know.
Maybe not. But he was taking care of the ground. They were taking care of all of the yards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's Ellie and Joel are coming in to, and Joel is immediately on alert because he's like, this.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that, and not even so much that, it's like I think he takes in the surroundings and seeing how everything is, how run down everything is, and he's immediately like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
Something's wrong.
Because it's run down and fucked up. What's going on?
Right. So he still has to, the code to get in. And they get into the house, and it's then they're like, I think as soon as he gets in the house and it's quiet and he looks at the dust on everything, he knows, and he tries to get there, like he's looking around for them. He gets to the bedroom door's locked, and Allie's walking around the other areas of the house as she does, investigating, and she finds the letter that Bill has left for Joel.
And I love that it's addressed to whomever, but probably
Joel. And I wrote down most of the letter because I loved it. I did. I'm not most of it. I got to the point where he was like, where he starts talking to Joel. He says, but anyway, I never liked you, but still, it's like we're friends, almost. And I respect you. So I'm going to tell you something because you're probably the only person who will understand. I used to hate the world, and I was happy when everyone died. But I was wrong because there was one person worth saving. That's what I did. I saved him. I protected him. That's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any motherfuckers who stand in our way. And this is the turning point for Joel. Because Joel knows it wasn't Tess that he was meant to save.
Yeah.
It's Ellie. And and for every fucking homophobe who says that this is like a not needed episode, it's filler and blah blah blah, I'm sorry, this is like the crux of the relationship of the two characters that you're so fucking like, you're bitching about not seeing. That this is the Joel and Ellie show, not the Bill and, like, well, this is the turning point of their fucking relationship, assholes.
Yeah. If
he doesn't read that fucking letter, then he still is going to be hostile to her. Because at the end of this episode, they go driving away in the truck that is kind of like, they take what they can. What does Ellie take?
A fucking gun.
Yeah, she does. She hides it. But he's got hundreds, and she still won't let her have a gun.
She said, come the fuck on, man.
But yeah, she does. And he finally gets his truck. And he says, we're going to go to, was it Seattle? Where are they going?
No.
It's somewhere out west. Like far out west.
First, he wants to find Tommy. That's his first priority.
Right.
So I think Wyoming is where they're headed.
So, like, pretty far west. From Boston,
yes.
Yeah. So he's got this truck now because now he's got a battery. My first thought was, we go to gas though. I don't know, how much gas do you have for this truck? Like,
that's addressed in the next episode. But I mean, they have a siphon. They figure it out.
Okay, good. But they also have a tape that's in the car, and Ellie's lost her mind because she's like, "What the fuck is this?"
I know, it's so great.
Like, because he's like, she puts it on, and she's like, like, he goes, you ever heard this before? You ever heard Linda Ronstadt? She's like, how would I have heard of this?
No.
A lot of it is like, okay, boomer, no, I haven't. Like,
exactly.
But yeah, they drive off, and what's the song that's playing?
Long time. The same song that that Bill played to Frank when they met.
Yeah.
By Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Now,
so
No, go ahead.
Okay.
There was a video I sent you, but I figured it was like 5 minutes before, so I figured
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it.
probably
No.
didn't have time to watch it. I was curious, and there's a 10-minute video on YouTube of just all the supercuts of Bill from the game.
Well, so Druckmann says in the behind the scenes that that while they're both Frank is quote unquote in the game in the sense of he was at one point alive, not in the game. Because I believe in the game he's at some point in the past has hung himself, I believe.
Hung himself.
Yeah. But he said this is the biggest departure from the game. It was this, and how Bill is in this show is a very big departure from the game. He does say that. Yeah.
There's a scene that we missed, but it was just another filler scene of their relationship where Frank surprises Bill with strawberries that he planted. And I love this part because he's like, "Oh, I traded a gun for some seeds."
What gun?
What gun? And he's like, "A little gun."
Yeah, a tiny one, smidgen, small gun.
And they taste strawberries for the first time in probably years, and they're like laugh crying.
Yeah.
The taste of strawberries. And Bill looks at Frank and says, "I was never afraid until you showed up."
Yeah. So you're probably you're like 100% right. I don't know why I thought that, just because of like how quickly not quickly, but how he alluded to that. I was like, oh, maybe, but I'm like, it just seemed weird. It seems out of character for the makeup of Bill, but you know.
It does, because in the game, Bill he's only in like 10 minutes of the game, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Of the supercuts, not, like there's fighting and everything. Like
Yeah.
When you play as Joel.
He seems like, his character would be the Q character that everyone come to if they need like supplies and shit.
Yes, but he's an extreme hard ass. Like, he's very much how he was before he met Frank. And it's very rough around the edges, and doesn't give a shit about anybody else, and gives Joel a lot of shit for having some kid with him. Right. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they argue, and, Joel in the game, you're there to Bill's to get a truck from him. And Bill's like, I don't have a fucking truck. And so you have to go around the town and find parts to
build. Yeah.
But there's a point where they're searching and they get into a house, and Bill for the first time sees Frank hanging, and didn't realize, he knew Frank was gone but didn't know. And so he sees Frank hanging, and Frank had bites on him.
Oh.
So he hung himself.
Right. Because he was infected.
And in the game, Bill just calls Frank his partner.
Right.
And that he cared about him, but doesn't say in what context necessarily. So
right.
I like how they treated it here in the series. I liked this story. And it's like Neil Druckmann said himself, if there's an opportunity, yes, this strayed from the game, but if there's an opportunity for us to tell a better story, we're going to tell it.
Well, yeah, and I think I think even though he says partners, I think it is implied in the game that they are together. Yeah, that they are together. Yeah. Which then I want to shove it up every fucking homophobe's ass and be like, the game that you're slaving over, you're salivating over, is still like, there's gays in that one, so fuck off forever. So let's get to the 8 rating, the 8 out of 10 rating, because I was thinking to myself after I finished this episode, I was like, okay, this one had to be like a 9.5, had to be like super high rating. Super high rating. It is one. Let me see. Let me double check all the other ones. It's not the lowest. Left Behind is the lowest one.
It's the second lowest.
It is the second fucking lowest. All because a bunch of homophobes went on IMDb and they gave it all 1-star reviews. And also kind kind of use the premise of it's a filler episode as the reason for the 1 star. So don't give me this bullshit. You're a fucking homophobe, and I don't have time for you. Nor does the fucking world. So fuck off forever.
If it was a man and a woman, it'd be a beautiful story.
Oh, right, exactly. But because it's 2 dudes,
it's still a beautiful story. But fuck you.
And it's not okay. And the thing is, though, it's not as if it were like, I don't even know, like super, like, you know, like sexy. There was sex all over the place, you know, like, and I'd like that. I would like that. However, like,
it's an HBO show.
Well, right? I mean, that's what I call Game of Thrones, tits and talk. That's all it is.
But it's not like that in the game. It's different.
Right. And I'm like, well, also, they're in an apocalypse. Who the fuck is going to fuck, for one? Because God forbid you have a baby in this fucking apocalypse. Because there ain't no condoms, I'm sure. Or birth control. So, but like, and also, then, you know, and then you'd probably be afraid to, like, without you know, if you were having consensual anal sex, you'd want to be with somebody that you knew was clean, because who the fuck knows too? Because no way, if you get some sort of STD, you're fucked. Literally and figuratively fucked. Yeah, there's no antibiotics. So yeah. So again, fuck off to the sun.
And back.
All right, let's do our usual ratings. Okay. Go ahead and deliver me some categories of what we got here.
Well, blood and gore, there really wasn't. I mean, there was a little.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1 just for the squishy head thing.
Mm-hmm, the squishy head thing, and killing the raiders and him getting shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit. I'll give it 1.
Yeah.
Spooky scary.
1.
Yeah, 1. It wasn't at all. I mean, there were a few tense moments.
Yeah.
But, you know, particularly when the Raiders showed up and you're like all super nervous. And at the beginning when Ellie, you know, is playing with the infected. Yeah. She's straight up toying with it because it's completely incapacitated. There's no way it could reach out to get her.
Right.
And that's why she's like kind of, you know, brave. But she just wants to see it up close. And
yeah, I don't blame her.
I thought that was cool. That was a cool moment.
Also, a chance for us to see the fucking awesome makeup. So
yeah. Shout out,
because this was one of the clickers, because it was one of the ones who have been. It obviously has been ill for a long time because most of its face was. They still had eyes though, like it hadn't completely covered the eyes, because I guess that's why they become the clickers, is because they can't see. Because so it was close. It was on its way. No longer though. No longer, I say. Anyhow.
Sex and nudity.
2.
2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There was a sex scene-ish. It wasn't a sex scene, but it was a sexy scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sexy scene, and we know that it resulted in sex. So, I mean, that's what Frank was sitting there waiting for. He's sitting in bed like a good boy, waiting for.
Can I say, hooray for the hairy-chested men? Oh, just.
I like hair. That was like a good amount of hair. It wasn't too hairy. It wasn't like.
Neither one of them. Yeah, were too hairy.
It was, it was tasteful hair.
Well. And lastly, cold black hearts. How many cold black hearts do you give it? Fun and entertainment.
Oh, I don't mean. Did I have fun? No, I mean like.
Entertainment. Were you entertained by this episode? Were you engaged?
I really loved this episode. I'm gonna give it a 3 just because it's such a hard one to give a like entertaining to, because I wasn't like, yay! Like, I mean, yay! I turned it literally 30 minutes. 30 minutes to the end, I was bawling, and I continued crying through the rest of the episode. I texted someone, said, I'm going to go take a shower and cry in the shower. I'll talk to you later. So did I have fun? No.
Was it fun?
No. 3. I'm going to give it 3.
3? I give it 4. I was engaged. I was
engaged, but I mean, I won't go back and watch this again. It just was a lot for me. I know you did. Yeah.
Good. It was
it was a lot for me. It was a lot. I've been crying at stuff that I normally wouldn't cry at.
Yeah.
So this was a lot for me. And like I've even said to myself and to, I think I said it to Veronica, I was like, I don't know if I honestly could, I'm glad that I'm now 3 episodes in and I have turned the page on this series, because for my mental health, I don't know if it's actually a good series for me, which is funny because I love horror movies, but this is like depressing as fuck.
It's a soap opera.
Yeah, it's a soap opera with like zombie-esque characters.
It's a very, very heavy series. It's heavy.
Yeah. So someone who has depression and anxiety, really think about exactly if you want to dive in. But when you have a podcast and some video reviews, you're fucked. Okay, so I've been giving the other ones grades, so doing our ratings, but then I also give them a grade. I'm going to give this one an A+++. See, that's where I come out there. I say, like, I might not give it an entertaining grade, but I'm going to give it a good grade. I'd give it an 11 out of 10 if I could.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A+. Yeah. It was a great episode.
It's a beautiful piece of directing.
Beautiful story. Great
story writing.
Amazing acting. Amazing acting.
Yeah, I said if fucking Nick Offerman does not get an Emmy for this episode, I'm going to burn Hollywood down. And there's an episode of Ted Lasso that if Hannah Waddingham doesn't get an Emmy for that, I'm going to burn Hollywood down.
Down to the ground.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be lots of people that will be on my side. Anyhow.
You won't be alone.
I won't.
Yay.
So
that's good for you guys.
Yeah, so we coming up, we just released an episode on Evil Dead. It's the evilest month here at B3. We are doing an Evil Dead retrospective. So we did Evil Dead 1981 and then 2013, the remake. So that just was released today. Today?
No, today.
Okay, today. Yeah, I couldn't remember when I did it. And we have we have a review. I have a review of Children of the Corn Up that I just did, which was a piece of garbage, but it's.
I can't wait to watch that.
Oh my god, it's a piece of cinematic trash. It's seeing is believing. And up next we will have Evil Dead 2 and then Army of Darkness. So.
Lovely.
All right, my dear, thank you for joining me on this episode.
Anytime.
Yeah.
The series, so ask me back anytime.
Hey, man. Yeah, you've seen them all now. I just can't go too many days without, like, after, because I was like, it's been a while since I've seen this. It's been a while since I watched the episode, so I'm like, all right, well, keep it spooky, peoples.
Yay.